All right, today we're digging into something we all walk on every single day but probably don't think about nearly enough: soil. And trust me, it's so much more than just dirt. It's this incredible, hidden world right under our feet. So, let's get into it.
Really, think about it for a second. The next time you're just walking outside, maybe in a park or even in your own backyard, have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually going on right there just beneath your feet?
Because here's the thing, it is so not just dirt. That's what we call it, right? But in reality, it's a living, breathing world. It's like this bustling, invisible city, a whole ecosystem that is, and I mean this literally, the foundation for all life on this planet.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What even is soil? What are we really talking about when we say that word?
Well, at its most basic level, you can think of soil as the skin of the earth. It's that uppermost layer of the crust. And it doesn't just appear overnight. Nope, it's formed over these massive stretches of time. We're talking ages, as rocks get broken down by wind and rain and heat. It's this super slow but incredibly powerful process.
But of course, not all soil is created equal. You know this, right? The soil in a desert is totally different from the soil in a rainforest. And what makes them so different? Well, it really comes down to the size of the little mineral bits and pieces that make it up. And those pieces come in three main flavors. So yeah, it all boils down to these three: sand, silt, and clay. Sand particles are the big chunky ones, you know, that gritty feeling. Silt is the middle child, soft, kind of smooth, almost like flour. And then you've got clay. The particles in clay are microscopic. They're the smallest of all, which is what makes clay feel so soft and sticky when you get it wet.
Okay, and this is where it gets really cool. It's the mix of those three particles that determines everything. If you have mostly sand, you get sandy soil. It's great for letting air in, but water, it just runs right through. On the flip side, you have clay soil. It's mostly those tiny clay particles packed super tight. It holds onto water and minerals like a champ, but there's barely any room for air. And then you have the holy grail, loamy soil. This is the just right stuff, the Goldilocks soil with a nice, balanced mix of all three.
And that's why this matters so much. Loamy soil is pretty much perfect for growing plants. It's got that ideal balance. It can hold onto water without drowning the roots, it has plenty of air, and it's full of nutrients. Honestly, it's the stuff that farmers and gardeners dream about. But hold on, it's not just about the rocks and minerals. That's only part of the story. To get that truly healthy, living soil, you need a complete recipe. And that recipe has 4 secret ingredients.
So here's the full recipe. You've got your mineral particles, the sand, silt, and clay, but then you absolutely have to add organic matter, which is also called humus. And then you need air and water. You can't leave any of them out. All 4 have to be there working together to make the magic happen.
So, ingredient number 1, the mineral particles. We've talked about these. Just think of them as the solid backbone of the soil, kind of like its skeleton. They provide the structure and the key nutrients that plants need to build themselves.
All right, ingredient number 2 is humus. This is the really good stuff. It's all that decayed organic matter, old leaves, dead plants, all that. The best way to picture it is like a super sponge. It soaks up water and nutrients and holds onto them, which is exactly what plants love. Plus, it gives the soil that nice crumbly feel. Now, for ingredient number 3, and this might surprise you: air. Yep, soil breathes. You can actually see this for yourself. Just take a lump of dry soil and drop it in a glass of water. See all those bubbles coming up? That's air escaping. And that air is non-negotiable. The roots and all the little critters living in the soil, they all need it to respire.
And we're not talking about just a little bit of air either. In really good, healthy soil, up to 25% of it, a full quarter of its volume, can be just empty space filled with air. That's how important it is.
And that brings us to our final ingredient: water. Even when soil feels bone dry, there's still a thin film of water clinging to the particles. This water is like the soil's delivery service. It dissolves all those good nutrients from the minerals and the humus, turning them into a kind of soup that plant roots can drink up. It's crucial.
Okay, so we've got our 4 ingredients: minerals, humus, air, and water. But how are they all arranged? Well, it's not just a big jumbled mess. If you were to dig down, you'd see it's organized in layers, kind of like a cake. Scientists call this whole cross-section a soil profile.
Usually, you'll see 3 main layers. Right at the top, you've got the topsoil. This is the VIP section. It's dark, it's rich with all that humus, and it's absolutely packed with life. It's where almost all the action happens. Dig a bit deeper, and you hit the subsoil. It's usually a lighter color because it has way less of that good organic stuff. And then, way down at the bottom, you find the bedrock. That's the solid rock foundation that this whole party started from, thousands and thousands of years ago.
All right, so now we know how incredibly complex and precious this stuff is, which means we have to talk about the number one threat it faces. And that threat is soil erosion. So what is erosion? Put simply, it's when that amazing topsoil, the VIP layer, gets carried away by wind or water. And since that's where all the fertility and life is concentrated, losing it is a huge, huge problem. Not just for farming, but for entire ecosystems. And what causes it? Well, there are a bunch of things. You've got natural causes, for sure, like big rainstorms or strong winds, especially in dry areas. But a lot of the time, human activity is what really speeds it up. Things like how we farm or when we clear land for buildings. Even waves on the coast and herds of animals can play a part in wearing that topsoil away. So, the big question is, what can we do about it? Well, the good news is there are some really smart solutions. One of the best is actually super simple. Just plant more stuff. Things called cover crops, like this vetiver grass here, have these really dense root systems that act like a net, literally holding the soil in place and protecting it. Another really clever method is called contour cultivation. Think about it. If you plow straight up and down a hill, you've basically just built a water slide for your soil. The first big rain and whoosh, it's gone. Instead, farmers can plow along the natural curves of the slope. Each little row then acts like a mini dam, catching the water and letting it soak in instead of washing the soil away. And what about for really steep hills? Well, for that, there's terracing. You've probably seen pictures of this. It's this ancient, brilliant technique where people literally carve a hillside into a series of flat steps. It's an amazing bit of engineering, and it works by turning one big slope into a bunch of little flat surfaces, so the water has nowhere to run. So, when you boil it all down, what's the one thing to remember? Soil isn't just dead stuff. It's a living, breathing, and honestly, a very fragile system that supports pretty much everything. It gives us our food, it filters our water, it's the foundation of our world. Which really leaves us with one big question to think about, doesn't it?